I'm a third-year Ph.D. student in the Department of Architectural Engineering at Penn State University. I'm from Nigeria. Well, I started out as a pretty average student, not really earning good marks, not really understanding or enjoying math. But in my third year of secondary school, my parents got a lesson teacher for me who used to come after school and teach me math. So this lady was a medical student at the university, and she was so much fun. So she taught me how to do math step by step, how to think through every step, and she made it very interesting for me. And so after that, I began to love math. I saw it as a puzzle or a challenge, and I enjoyed math. Well, I enjoyed a lot of the topics in math, but one thing I struggled with was calculus and matrices. They took a lot of work, but I mean, eventually I overcame them because practice makes perfect, and I think that's the only way to get around math. Repetition and using different textbooks, going through all the possible ways that a problem can present itself, because in real life it's never just the same way or the same context. So problems come in different forms. So the key to it is practice and exposing yourself to different aspects so that one can just be ready. For the most part, it was a good experience. Even from primary school, we had really good teachers. When we were learning our times table, I remember repeating them over and over again every day till we got everything right. I remember every single day after assembly, we had to do mental math, where the teacher asks you, bring out your exercise books, write number 1 to 10, and they start calling out different times table in any order. And you would exchange your books and mark those 10. And so every day it was a chance to assess yourself, and it was a good way to, you know, help one think off the cuff, because it's never predictable. I liked trigonometry. I loved all the triangles and all the shapes and angles and lines. And then I loved algebra too. I still love algebra. I see math as a puzzle, some kind of fun puzzle to solve. It's like reading a mystery novel, and something is hidden just from your view, and it's up to you to find it. And I think approaching math in this way helps it not to be so much of a burden, but more like a quest. Like I said, calculus and matrices, they were very tricky. I mean, calculus is advanced algebra. The only way I was able to overcome that was through practice, consistent practice, organizing myself, having a schedule, knowing my areas of weakness and my strengths, and having a plan to work on those weaknesses. I never saw math as a problem or in a negative light. It was always a challenge to overcome. Still a lot of practice. Knowing one's strengths and weaknesses, having a good study plan that I have to keep to every day, having daily goals, weekly goals, and I wouldn't say monthly goals, but I would tell myself by the end of this time I should have learned so and so topic. Also to try to interpret it in a practical way, which is not so easy, but I think it's helpful to find textbooks that kind of explain things in reality, so one can actually visualize it and see math not as an abstract concept, but something that is real. I had to do it on my own. I don't think I had any mentors that had the time or helped me in that way, but because I was determined to pass, and I just had to help myself. I just had to succeed. I had the zeal to succeed, and I hated it any time I failed. I thought I could do better, because I do enjoy math. I'm always curious about it, and so it was always a challenge. to be overcome. Definitely. I don't think I would be an architect and engineer today if I had not learned math. I don't think any structures that I've designed would have stood. There are benefits to learning math. In fact, I have a daughter now who's doing algebra, and I love to teach her. I just love, in fact, I'm almost begging for her to ask me questions just so I can get back into it. Now I've realized math is not such hard work, and I've realized that in any area that one ends up in life, one is going to need math. So I tell my children, even if you try to avoid it now, you'll get to where you'll need to understand your taxes. You'll get to where you need to understand statistics and probability. When you talk of passing and according to what percentile range of performance one is in school, you need to understand that. When you read a newspaper or magazine of a survey being done, of a study or research or new developments, even in politics, there's a lot of math involved in calculating things. So, of course, in the sciences, engineering, there's math, but I believe in any area that one finds themselves. And so it's got practical applications in every area. So definitely there's benefits. I'm a doctoral student, so statistics and probability, first and foremost, in any research that one is going to do, that is, it's invaluable. You can't do without it. And I find, like I said, when you're reading an article, when people are analyzing the political landscape or some new medical finding and findings of research that have been done, if you don't have that ability to understand, you know, the statistics and the claims for probability, the inferences that are made, then I think you're in a disadvantaged position. I'm benefiting from learning calculus, and that has helped me, I would say, in engineering. I work in facilities management, and so when you're talking with technicians and designers or specialists in any field, you're able to understand them better. So funny enough, I hardly remember any of my main teachers in secondary school. I remember the primary school teachers, and I remember my lesson teacher. I think anyone that made the subject more interesting and was more tolerant of my learning, I can remember. They were a good influence on me, and they inspired me, certainly. So in university, we had a structures course, which was basically math and physics, dealing with calculating the strength of structures, and I think I did a pretty good job in preparing for the exam. However, when the results came out, I found that I had failed it and I needed to take it for an extra year. This was shocking to me because before the exam I was the one tutoring all my classmates who passed. So later we found out, the teacher told someone that actually everyone passed the course, but the head of department felt that there shouldn't be 100% pass rate for everyone. And so there was this decision process where they just picked some names off the list and cut their marks down. That was very painful. That was very discouraging, and I can never forget that. I have to take the course again. Sometimes the system is very negative and you can't fight it. But the thing is never to get discouraged. No matter what life throws at you, if you're given lemons, make lemonade. By bringing more accountability into the system, that is the hardest suggestion I would have. Another way is to suggest a different system of assessing students. Rather than have one or two make or break assessments during a semester, what I've learned is, you know, this could be broken up into different ways of assessing a student's performance, not just through tests. There could be exercises or other ways of allowing students to learn. And if these are broken up into several categories of assessment at different stages, say break it up into 5 or 6 different methods of testing or getting students to work together, I think this would curb that one make or break assessment. And also, some people are not good test takers. They may know a topic, but sometimes the tension that comes into writing this exam kind of just breaks people, and it's like stage fright. Some people just forget what to say, and the pressure gets to them. And so 1 or 2 single tests, I don't think, are a true measure of a person's performance. My textbook was good, and because it broke down math step by step, I think math should be broken down to the simplest rudimentary level. I was taught to solve math according to steps. First, you had to write out the equation, and then begin to substitute each number step by step. I was taught to draw diagrams in order to better visualize a problem. I think textbooks are important, but not just using one textbook. Like I said, it's important to have one type of problem or one topic presented in a variety of ways to enable one to free one's mind and really think through the different ways of approaching a problem. So I think it's good to have supplementary material, textbooks or other questions. Nowadays there are quizzes, there are games like quests that one can do, and also nowadays there are resources such as Khan Academy, IXL, which are videos for learning accompanied with quizzes, sometimes math games. So it's good, I think, to expose oneself to a variety of resources and find the ways that, you know, one best learns. Some people are visual people, some people are, you know, hardcore black and white paper material people. So it's important to find your strengths, your best ways of learning, and to take advantage of those. Yes, I still use them. I discovered them through my children who do a lot of math practice on them, and they also have assignments on IXL. And over the summer I was preparing for my engineering exam, and there were certain concepts that I needed to go back to from secondary school. So I went back to Khan Academy and found it very helpful, because they have these short videos that are like YouTube clips that explain problems, that explain topics, and then accompanied with exercises that you go through after every clip with corrections. IXL has games, has math games as well. And so I've explored those and found them a quick way to refresh my mind on certain topics. Practice. Consistent practice. I don't think anyone can get around math without practice. I mean, even if you grasp a concept, it doesn't mean you know it through and through. There are different ways that problems can be presented, and math in the natural world would come in different ways. And so I think even I tell my daughter math is English, because there are a lot of ways that problems are presented in which the words are kind of twisted, and one really has to understand the language before understanding what is being asked. So the only way to overcome this is by exposing oneself to as many different problems or varieties or ways that a particular problem can present itself in. At the secondary level, yes, I had a lesson teacher who would come after hours, after school hours, and just help me to go through these concepts and grab whatever was lacking. In university, we would just study in groups, but I was always a person that I preferred to study on my own and discuss later. So I guess there are different ways that I was able to learn math. First thing is, I'll tell you, math is fun. Math is life. Math comes in so many different formats in life. Even in nature, everything is actually math. We can't get away from it. It's part of who we are, and it's going to be a part of our lives. The important thing is to overcome any negative perceptions. I know that commonly people say, oh, math is hard, I don't like math. Math is fun. Like I said, view it as a challenge, some sort of puzzle or quest that is presented, and find ways around it. But I hope you all get to the place where you'll be able to say that math is fun. Thank you.